Hello guys, how's it going? It's Daniel FX right here. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about fair value gaps and the roles it plays in the market and why you see this fair value gaps and what is fair value gaps and why as a trader you need to be concerned about fair value gaps. So when you watch this chart, I won't waste more time. Before we proceed, I just want to let you know that I make use of an indicator. The name of the indicator is called fair value gap by Lux Aglo. So you can go to your trading view and search for it and you can make use of it to make it more easier for you. So what is fair value gap? Fair value gaps are a situation whereby the market has a lot of buy pressure or sell pressure, causing the market to leave behind imbalance in the market. This imbalance is what we call fair value gap. So these fair value gaps are imbalance, like the market leaving large gaps in the market because of the buy pressure or sell pressure. So these areas are like magnets for the price to retrace back into in the future and maybe fill up those areas, fill up those gaps. So how do these fair value gaps form? When you look at this chart carefully, you will find that the bodies or the wicks of the last or the previous candles or the neighboring candles are not joining together to fill up those gaps or fill up those orders. So the market is leaving those large gaps in the market to show you buy pressure or sell pressure. So in the future, the market is always going to retrace back into those areas, fill up those gaps, and continue its intended direction. So when you look at this chart, we look at the first fair value gap at the one below I marked. That's how it has a very huge fair value gap. You can see that the market left behind a very huge fair value gap. Then you see the market running up to the upside, leaving that imbalance and the downside. Then after much accumulation, the market retraced back into that area, filled up the gap properly. Then you see the buy pressure, then leaving behind multiple fair value gap just like that marked. So these areas you see are going to be like magnets for the markets to retrace back into to fill up those orders. So this in which I just marked is just a bullish fair value gap. So there are cases of bearish fair value gaps which you can go to your chart and you can search for them. You can go to your chart and look for these gaps, like I said. So how do you identify these fair value gaps? They are gaps whereby the wicks of the neighboring candlestick, the candlestick at the top or at the down, they are not colliding together. They are leaving these gaps, these huge gaps. So these huge gaps are areas whereby the market is always going to retrace back into, then continue its intended direction. So in this situation, have it in mind that there is already a market structure shift. Yeah, there's already a market structure shift whereby the market bought to the upside, then the market retraced back into that um, fair value gap. This is to show you serious buy pressure. So for a second explanation right here, which I'm going to be talking about fair value gaps again, you can see like what I said, the roles it plays again. You can see that the market retraced back into a fair value gap. There's a gap, if you can literally see it. There's a gap in which that bullish movement to the upside left behind. So you can see the market retracing back into that fair value gap. It retraced into that fair value gap and started buying to the upside with great magnitude, showing you that fair value gap is much more bullish, showing you that there are others left behind at those areas. So one thing I'll advise you to do is go back to your charts, look for more examples, look for these gaps in the market. If you find it hard to spot these gaps, you can make use of the indicator I just told you. Search for fair value gap by Lux Aglo. It's going to help you spot the bearish fair value gap, the bullish fair value gap. This way you can get good trade entries whenever you get a market structure shift in a trend. There is a possible reversal into a fair value gap, then you can enter properly. So if you find this video very helpful or you have more questions you want to ask, for those of you who are my mentor, who are my group, you can send me a message directly. I'll be glad to answer. Bye.